Commerce and by the Colonial Beach High School National Honor Society. My name is John Heath. I represent BAMM, Beach Arts, Music, and Mentoring, and we are here in support of the National Honor Society. The Honor Society has curated all the questions for tonight from existing questions, some from previous forums, as well as questions submitted by citizens through social media, the Chamber of Commerce website, and from citizen attendance tonight. The forum will be in two parts, beginning with the forum for the mayoral candidates and then with the forum for the town council candidates. For the council forum, the candidates drew numbers to decide where they would sit on stage. This forum is being broadcast live by WWER and streaming at WWER.org. Your participation in this forum is your consent to be broadcast and recorded. You understand that all photography, broadcasting, and recording will be done in reliance on this consent given by you by your attendance here. Each candidate, all candidates have had the opportunity to present their positions in writing. This information was available to you on the table as you came in. If you are listening on the radio or at WWER.org, the information will be posted on www.colonialbeach.org. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to introduce themselves at the beginning of the program before the questioning begins. Questions will be randomly selected by Honor Society students and asked to the candidates in order. Questions will be asked by tonight's moderator, Carrie Geddes, President of the Chamber of Commerce. Each candidate will receive a different question. Several candidates received questions specifically addressed to them, and they will be asked during their turn. All responses are limited to 2 minutes. If a candidate goes over the time limit, they'll be warned by the moderator. After a candidate gives their response, each of the other candidates will have 30 seconds to comment on their reply if they wish to. We will begin in a moment, and at 6:25 or thereabouts, we will complete the questioning portion of the Mayoral Forum, and at that time, each of the candidates will be given 3 minutes for summation or rebuttal. At 8:15, we will finish the questioning portion of the council forum. At that time, each candidate will be allowed 3 minutes for summation or rebuttal. We'll try to get to as many questions as possible. As a reminder, this is not an audience participation event. We ask you to respect the candidates and each other by not clapping, yelling, or making other disruptive actions. We have a lot of candidates and a lot of questions to get through. Thank you, and Mr. Geddes, let's begin.
All right, thank you, John. Ms. Brubaker, opening statement.
Well, as you know, test.
It's on. It's on. It's on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. As many of you know, I'm a write-in candidate for mayor of our fair town. There's a lot of questions as to why I didn't get on the ballot. The most obvious one is that the person our committee was putting forward could not do it for medical reasons. His wife is very ill. So at the last minute, the committee asked me to come forward, and I did. Like I said, I'm Linda Brubaker. I'm a longtime resident of Colonial Beach and a former town council member. I've heard from friends and neighbors dissatisfied with town leadership that is out of touch and out of step with community residents. We can and should do better. Write in Linda Brubaker for mayor. We are blessed to share this beautiful place. I'm especially grateful for our caring neighbors, first responders, teachers, coaches, and volunteers who give their time and energy to our community. I know many of you by name, and I'm learning new names every day as our grassroots campaign takes hold. There's a lot to talk about, and I want to know what you think. Please attend, if you haven't already, a meet and greet and our hot dogs tomorrow from 11 to 2 on Colonial Avenue. I've been kicked off of Facebook for some reason. They didn't agree with something I posted, so I've appealed it. But when it's finished, you can go on Linda Brubaker for mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Brubaker.
Thank you.
Ms. Schick, 2 minutes.
Oh man, I thought I had 3 minutes. I'm gonna make it quick. First off, I want to thank the Chamber, the National Honor Society, the students, and BAMM for hosting this, and most of all, thank you to the citizens for being engaged and coming out today. As you may know, the town of Colonial Beach is growing. We have a 10% population increase. Our schools have risen from 101st in the state to 70th. Our real estate values have increased 30%, sometimes up to 48%, according to the FAR. We have opened over 20 new business openings, which has provided us with a very healthy number of Mexican options. All this has certainly come with some criticism. There's no way to tackle these difficult challenges without that, and I understand that. In the history of Colonial Beach, we have not had a period of revitalization like this since the boom with the casino era. We have had modest population growth, but for the most part, we have remained resilient through a multitude of disasters. We experienced over 12 hurricanes in a 20-year period. We have had fires, we have had flooding, and we have had straight-line winds, along with our own political issues. This has created 40 years of both financial and infrastructure struggle. Things that we're facing today are very serious, but we are in a better place for it, and we continue to work towards that. Personally, I went to school here. I'm a drifter. I was valedictorian of Colonial Beach High School. I went to UVA to be an architect, and then I joined the Peace Corps. And I joined the Peace Corps because I had learned about service right here in Colonial Beach. I had lived through Hurricane Isabel, and I had seen my town devastated, but I had also seen my town come together in these amazing and great ways, and it catalyzed me into a life of service. So I was trained by the State Department in municipal development, and then came home.
Thank you, Ms. Schick.
To serve my community. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Brubaker.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Given the urgent need to address infrastructure issues throughout the city, what is your strategy to access the federal monies from the congressionally allocated infrastructure funds to rebuild our water, sewer, and drainage system, as well as our sidewalks?
Well, my opponent didn't do such a great job by turning over the sewer plant operations to a contractor. The fact is, council was told they were being brought in to cover a retiring plant manager. Then suddenly, council was asked to sign a 3-year contract costing each of us $300,000 annually. If I'm elected, I will monitor these grants so that the town doesn't get fined, like over $100,000 for the sewer grant not being followed. In my mind, these are just a few of the issues that I will not sweep under the rug. As far as the sidewalks, we have to bring them under ADA compliance. There's no chance that we can't. So if I'm elected, I will work on that immediately so that we're not fined more. Did that answer it?
Thank you, Ms. Brubaker. Mrs. Schick, same question.
Can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. Given the urgent need to address infrastructure issues throughout the city, what is your strategy to access the federal monies from the congressionally allocated infrastructure funds to rebuild our water, sewer, and drainage systems, as well as our sidewalks?
So we've started to tackle this already. For the first time in the town of Colonial Beach, we have what's called a legislative agenda. And that's where we meet and we have a strategic meeting at the beginning of the year. We create priorities that we know we need assistance from the federal and state government to do. And in doing that, we have lobbied our state for $5.7 million, which we were granted by Governor Youngkin. We already have those funds. We also have another $2.5 million, and we will have to tackle these infrastructure projects one at a time, which we are doing. I just want to say that 10 years ago, when my opponent was on town council, the sewer plant was taking on 7,000 gallons per household, which is 40% above the national average. There was a sewer bond for $2.4 million. They were under a consent order from DEQ. The wastewater treatment plant operator quit, and there was no additional investment into infrastructure in the following subsequent year of 2014. That being said, we have qualified plant management. We have invested almost $3 million so far, with more to go. And if we had contracted this service 10 years ago to professionals, it would have saved us over $1 million from inflation rates alone, the repair expenses that we put into the plant in the last 2 years, and the cost would have been $12 million instead of $16 million for the overall infrastructure issues. So there is a long way to go, but we do have a plan, and we are working towards that, and we have seen progress on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schick. Ms. Brubaker, the last 4 years, we've experienced growing town budgets, new taxes, and tax rate increases. What is your vision for the size of the town's budget, and whether you will push for any new or increased taxes or tax reductions under your leadership as mayor?
I definitely will not push for new tax increases. I would definitely push for tax reduction. Under the current leadership, we have had taxes raised every year for 3 years. We had, it's ridiculous. We had $1 million left over in the budget last year. Where did that money go? Why are we hiring so many consultants and paying out that money so that our taxes can be increased? The mayor tells me, continually tells us, that how much money she has brought in for the town. Even though most was a result of COVID funds, which was a one-time government handout, she voted to spend nearly $200,000 on the American Rescue Plan Act, funds of $10 million on the unnecessary trash cans. I find that alarming. She has repeatedly stated that the grant writer brought in over $800,000. But if you remove the Eleanor Park easement grant, he only brought in about $350,000, barely equaling his salary and benefits. I will promise this group that I will do my best to monitor the grants, monitor the budget, so that we don't get fined for $100,000 for the sewer grant that's not being followed. And I promised you to look into these issues and do my best to fix them.
Thank you, Ms. Brubaker. Ms. Schick, same question.
Can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. The last 4 years, we've experienced growing town budgets, new taxes, and tax rate increases. What is your vision for the size of the town budget, and whether you will push for any new or increased taxes or tax reductions under your leadership as mayor?
Sure. So first, that's a very good question. I'd like to point out that many of the statistics and fund dollar amounts that were just mentioned are incorrect. The reality is that we are a small town, and we're going to have to tackle this in small ways. And our budget has grown in some ways, but it's also been stretched in other ways. Certainly, the cost of things today versus 4 years ago is very different. 4 years ago versus today, the difference is 16.2% in inflation. The real estate taxes were 80 cents per $100 assessed value when I entered as mayor. They are currently 78 cents per $100 value. Now, the adjustment came when everybody's properties were reevaluated, which created $100 million in equity for every single, that's carried across everybody who has a home ownership here in town of Colonial Beach. When that happened, there was also massive investments into the school system by the state, because after COVID, our kids were suffering. They continue to suffer. There's mental illness issues, truancy issues. We need them in school. And so we needed to fund the school system, and school funding had gone up almost $800,000 in 1 year. And so instead of equating it at 62 or 63, which would have been the balance out, we had to go to 68 to fund the school system. The schools increased by 35%, and the real estate taxes have increased by less than 9%.
Thank you, Ms. Schick.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Brubaker, we need a park with equipment on the classic Shores area. Can we expect serious discussion and action on this matter?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. We need a park with equipment on the classic Shores area. Can we expect serious discussion and action on this matter?
I will do my best to address that. We're spending an additional $315,000 on Eleanor Park. There was a consultant hired to diagram where the benches should go. If I'm elected, I will take that money and use it for a park up in Classic Shores.
Thank you, Ms. Brubaker. Ms. Schick, same question.
Yeah, so we've already done that. So the Eleanor Park funding was split into 2 different allocations. One of them is to improve Eleanor Park according to the Master Parks Plan, which had a lot of community input. And the majority of the funding, $280,000 of it, is to implement a pocket park in the Meadows.
Thank you, Ms. Schick. Ms. Brubaker, as a voter, integrity and ethics are a top concern for our elected officials. Where do you stand on monetary or special privileges for builders, business owners, or friends by putting their interests above the taxpayers?
Well, my opponent has allowed Dotson to come in and roll over the town and continually gives concessions to that. Not to mention a $300,000 discount on water and sewer tap fees on the boardwalk. Dotson paid under $16,000 for 9 condos, 2 businesses, and hookups. That was a $200,000 discount with no council approval. I'm a very much supporter of our hotels. I think the meals and lodging tax could have been reviewed more, had more citizen input. I think we got rolled over on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brubaker. Ms. Schick, same question.
Will you repeat it, please?
Sure. As a voter, integrity and ethics are a top concern for our elected officials. Where do you stand on monetary or special privileges for builders, business owners, or friends by putting their interests above taxpayers?
You can't run for mayor and think you're going to gain friends. I'll just tell you that right now. You can't put any of those special interests or any special interest in the way of this job. What comes first is the citizens. And sometimes the decisions that you have to make as mayor are for the whole of the good, but not always making everybody happy. And I absolutely understand that. So it's a balance of listening and hearing and being open to new ideas, of being transparent and of being accessible. And I'm very accessible. You can call me. My phone number's on the sheet that you guys have in your chair. My email's on the sheet. I respond to citizens, and I meet with people personally, and I'm happy to do so with any one of you. So if you have any of those concerns, please reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schick. Ms. Brubaker, this will be the last question before the closing statements. Ms. Brubaker, why did you want to be mayor?
I want to be mayor because I love our town. I'm not a been here, I'm not a come here, I'm a want to be here. I feel like our town is mismanaged financially and ethically. I feel like our town employees need more training. All of them have been promised training over the years. None of them are receiving it per our own HR manual, especially those fellows in Public Works. I believe my opponent has no ability to lead to get a comprehensive improvement plan. She continually sends things back to the Planning Commission. She does not want to vote on the building where they're going to put, where the Blue Motel was. I FOIA'd to see what they're going to put in there. The FOIA said nothing. Found out that she's already hired a firm to lay it out. Well, that was without council approval. She's hired this consultant to draw up plans for this $20 million building that's not going to be voted on until after the election, because she has certain town council members that she doesn't want to have to vote on it. I think that's atrocious. Our water meters cost the town $584,000. Meters are not working because the communication system is not adequate. Was any research done at all to support spending over $500,000 on meters that do not work? The batteries cannot be replaced easily. The whole top of the meters has to come off.
Thank you, Ms. Brubaker.
Thank you.
Ms. Schick, same question. Why do you want to be mayor?
I want to be mayor because I want my town to be in a better place than when I started. Because I want my 5-year-old, who is a drifter in this school system, to have a chance at success. I want all our kids to have a chance at success. Unlike Ms. Brubaker, I've supported the school. I have fully funded the school. I have fully funded the police department. In fact, I've supported the department by doubling their budget. They were sorely lacking in officers, sorely lacking in body cameras, safety apparel, bulletproof vests, equipment, and their salaries were lower than every other jurisdiction. They had broken down vehicles. We now have invested in that. Those things cost money, but they're part of our safety. They're part of our public welfare, and we have to look out for each other. This is a small town, and together we can make a lot possible, and I believe that. I am a cheerleader for this community, and that's why I ran as mayor, so that I can keep doing that for this community. I know our kids need a future. They are going to do great things. One of them that's sitting back there today may be sitting up here one day, and I want that kid to have the best shot possible at doing this job the best way possible. Our finances are in a better place today than they were when I started. They're certainly in a better place than they were 10 years ago, where we had an average annual loss of $78,000 since 2008, when Ms. Brubaker increased meals, lodging, cottage, and cigarette tax, increased real estate tax, and then in that 2013 audit had a $245,000 loss in real estate taxes from inflating projections. We have to stay conservative, but we have to look out for the town. We have to invest in our infrastructure. We have to invest in it smartly and methodically, which means when we tackle the sidewalks issue, we need to know where to start.
Thank you, Ms. Schick.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll have the 3-minute closing statements. Ms. Brubaker.
Thank you. Robin, you support our police department by writing a letter to the judge about someone you recommended getting bond after he sent 2 of our police officers to the hospital. They were injured, Robin. Your whole police department is upset about that. So you say you support them. I beg to differ. I was only one of several on council. You can't say that I did all this. Was only one person on council, and I did the best I could. I was very transparent. I was very honest. I used common sense, and I used integrity. I don't think we have a lot of transparency now. I can't even get a correct FOIA because they're so afraid to go against Robin. Our town employees are nervous for their jobs, very nervous. I've spoken to many of them. Robin hires everybody and fires everybody. The town manager is told what to do by Robin. As far as the school goes, I am a supporter of the schools. I'm opposed to the school system just giving out extras to the employees. I would like to see exactly what the state funding requirements are. I'm not opposed to that or drifter pride. I think it's wonderful. But I want to know the bottom line as to what the state requires us to pay the school. It's obvious to me many things have gone unaddressed in our town. Sidewalks, sewer plant, spending and yearly tax increases. I will monitor those grants so the town doesn't get fined. In my mind, these are just a few of the important issues. I am willing to fix issues, not just sweep them under the rug. I'm not sitting here tonight with all the answers, but I'm willing to be a leader and a listener. I want to support our most vulnerable population, our working class, retirees, and our elderly residents, and get our sidewalks compliant with ADA. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions of me, see me after the forum, and I will make arrangements to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Brubaker. Ms. Schick, 3 minutes.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I want to let you know that I, as mayor, don't have any of that power to do any of that stuff. The town operates per the charter under the council manager form of government, which means my biggest role as mayor is getting a council to agree on policies. And that means leadership. That means bringing people together that don't always agree. And that's hard to do. Getting these things done is hard to do. Being it just, I will tell you, it's so much more responsibility than you could imagine, because every day, all you want to do is the right thing for your town. My leadership style is focused on team building, and the town council is a reflection of that. Not that they agree with me all the time, because we don't, but because we're going to build a team in order to make the best decisions possible for this community. I'm trained and compliant in the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and in the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Act. I put my money where my mouth is, which means that I fund the police department, instead of putting up the idea of a referendum to abolish them, or instead of calling our school a sinking ship. Those things I do not do on town council and would not do. I am not an authoritarian power, which is what is being portrayed by this. I work with everyone, and I want to work with everybody here. I just want to say the choice is between bolstering town services or eliminating them. And we've been there before. We can't go back. I am a homegrown leader, not a politician. I want no drama. I have a track record of improving service, safety, the population, the economy, the schools, real estate values, and tackling some of our biggest challenges. And that is what I intend to continue to do. I have open doors. I will be at National Night Out. I will be at Homecoming, and I have a jump and jive event on the golf cart path. You can go to robin4cb.com or follow me on Facebook for events. My son is a drifter. Both of his parents are drifters. And his family is this entire village. Once a drifter, always a drifter, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm committed and determined to leave this town better than I found it, for my son and for generations to follow, because that's why I do this job. Please consider voting to re-elect me as your mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schick. How about a round of applause for these candidates, guys? Thank you, both.